Welcome to all those who have joined us tonight, and we extend a special welcome to Councilman Devin Keith, who will be representing District 1 and joining us tonight, and we'll look forward to hearing from him later. Would all those who wish to and are able please stand by for the invocation, which will be given by Judy Guerry from the Religious Society of Friends, known as Quakers, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Keith.
Good evening. May we join together for a short time of silence before words are spoken. O holy and compassionate one, help us to be mindful of you in our midst, moving amongst us, around us, between us. Bring us into one people, searching for the health and well-being of our entire community, for a place at the table for everyone, and for everyone to take the opportunity and the responsibility to help make our community a healthier, creative, more creative place to be. Tonight, particularly, be with the members of the City Council and guide them in their deliberations to do the business of our city. In your name, I pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Geary. Thank you, Councilman Keith. We have 3 sets of minutes to be approved this evening. The first is the minutes of the regular meeting held on October 27th, 2016. Are there any changes or additions to be made to those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. The next set of minutes are from the regular meeting held November 3rd, 2016. Are there any changes or additions to be made to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. The third set of minutes are from the organizational meeting held November 7th, 2016. Are there any changes or additions to these minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. We will now move on to item number 4, resolutions and special recognitions. Does the mayor have any special?
No special recognitions tonight.
The council has no resolutions for adoption or presentation, but we do have one special recognition, and it is for Councilman Will Culver. Councilman Culver served as the council president for the 2015-2016 fiscal year, and in recognition of his dedicated service, we would like to present you, Councilman Culver, with this plaque. Thank you for your service. Over the course of the past few weeks, I have come to appreciate Councilman's service even more. There is tremendous time and energy spent in preparing for these meetings. So thank you, Councilman Culver. For announcements, we have 2 items on the agenda tonight for immediate consideration. They will require unanimous consent to be approved this evening, items 14A and 14B. We have no business with legal representation. We will go on to public hearings. Oh, I'm sorry. The administration has asked for a moment before we go on to further business. Regarding item 14A, we have a presentation that they will be making. Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. As you stated, we've requested that council consider providing unanimous consent once you reach this point in the agenda at 14A to go ahead and consider that item. And what I'd like to do is kind of run through what it is so that you have time to contemplate that before you arrive at that point in the agenda. 14A is an ordinance that would declare certain pieces of property, real property, certain residential lots in the Low Mill neighborhood as surplus to the city's needs. That item, should you consider it tonight and approve it, was then tied to the item you have at 15L, which is a purchase, sale, and development agreement for those same properties. And what I want to do is just give you a run-through of exactly what we're contemplating, what we recommend your approval on tonight. And the keyboard's not working. Let me first orient you to exactly where we're talking about. This is Governor's Drive that runs across here. This is Memorial Parkway, the Low Mill neighborhood that I think you all are probably very familiar with. This is the mill itself. Parks and Recreation, some other city officers are located here. The former West Huntsville Elementary School for orientation. The red star is the location where we have 11 different parcels that we are recommending for sale. And these are the addresses of those 11 parcels. In total, it's about 2.5 acres. And you see the parcels outlined in the red boxes, these 10 plus that one. The purpose for the sale, one is the property is excess to the city's needs. We do not have long-term municipal uses for that property. And we think that the neighborhood and the community, the city, will be better served by returning that property to the tax rolls and allow market rate private development to occur on that property. The development that is proposed there we believe to be advantageous to the neighborhood. We have had opportunity to engage with the leadership of the neighborhood association there. They are familiar with what's contemplated. They've had the opportunity to engage directly with the developer, the purchaser of the land, and it's something that I'll go into the ways in which we put some strings on that sale in order to protect the interests of the neighborhood. We also believe not only will it initially be great for that neighborhood, but also can serve as a catalyst for continued private investment throughout that neighborhood. We would recommend that the sales proceeds be retained and used specifically as seed money to begin the funding of a pocket park that we've discussed with that neighborhood for some time, so that the proceeds from the sale of this land would stay inside that neighborhood. The terms of the agreement. The sales price is $200,000. There's a caveat to that I'll explain in a minute, plus deed to some land that we need for right-of-way along First Street, which would accommodate a greenway connection from the neighborhood going south to Bronze Springs Park. As we've talked quite a bit recently about continuing to invest in our greenway network, getting downtown connected to Low Mill, and getting Low Mill connected to John Hunt Park is one of the high priorities in our greenway network. This particular piece would start that connection from Low Mill down through Bronze Springs, past an auditorium, and down into the John Hunt Park area. There's separate projects that would connect the neighborhood back to the north into downtown. The caveat that I mentioned on the sales price, we have put specific requirements on the developer to invest in not only on this property for a mixed-use development, but also for single-family private residential housing throughout the neighborhood. And should they make those investments along on the timelines required, then portions of that $200,000 would be returned to them. So ultimately, should they perform as required by this agreement, their final sales price on that land will be $60,000. And those development requirements, one is the lots that we're selling tonight will require rezoning. What they've contemplated is C6 zoning, which is a new zone that council created a couple years ago, maybe about a year or so ago, that is specifically designed for neighborhood scale mixed-use developments. So specific to these kinds of neighborhoods, we think this is a great example for that zoning district. There's other areas throughout the city that we think also C6 would be a good zoning district. This would be the first property owner that we're aware of that has contemplated this and would bring this request in. They're required to do a minimum of 50,000 square feet of mixed-use space, and then would also required to construct a minimum of 10 single-family homes on lots that they own separately. The purchaser of this land, Invent Huntsville LLC, has already purchased single-family residential lots throughout the neighborhood. They're prepared to make those investments. Those were all private transactions. None of those involve lots that were previously owned by the city. Those were all purchase from their owners, from the residents there in the neighborhood, and they're prepared to begin making those investments here in the next year. We do have clawbacks to protect the city's interest. Should they fail to meet the standards required, then we have the right to purchase the property back at the original sales price. Other forms of protection, I mentioned the repurchase rights. Additionally, the existing zoning standards in the neighborhood provide, we think, very good protections for that neighborhood. The single-family lots and that development that they are contemplating doing, that they've purchased privately, are all within the existing zoning, and there's absolutely no need for any change to the zones. The C6 zone has some pretty stringent form requirements in it and restrictive uses that are very suitable to this kind of neighborhood. They're obligated to do a joint planning session with the city to do a design charrette for the mixed use, and the director of planning has the final approval authority on the design of the mixed use development. The design standards for the single family residential development that they would do on their privately owned lots are included in the agreement as well. So this is examples of the types of development they would do on the mixed use. As I stated, they're required to do a design charrette with the city planning department, so they have not actually designed all that would go on that lot. But these are examples of the kinds of forms and kinds of buildings and uses that would fit and work very well in that particular area. Those lots, as you noted on the map, are directly across the street from the mill and directly across the street from our offices. Those are both fairly large, tall, multi-story buildings. They can use this development to really provide a better step down from those larger forms down into the single-family portions of the neighborhood. And so making sure that it fits within the context of the neighborhood is important, and that's exactly what C6 does. And that's why we've discussed with them using C6 as the zoning controls over that lot. And these are examples of houses they built elsewhere. Invent Huntsville is the Alabama name for the company. They have developed in Nashville under the name Invent Communities. If you're familiar with East Nashville and the revitalization that has occurred there, they have played a significant role in making that happen. And the amount of private investment that's come back in and revitalized those neighborhoods in East Nashville, these are examples of houses they've designed and built and sold there in Nashville, and fits very well with the existing architecture and the context of the Low Mill neighborhood. And as we have worked with them for some period of time now, and actually gone and toured their properties in Nashville, members of the neighborhood have actually gone and toured and seen some of their properties up in Nashville, have really noted that their focus of doing context-appropriate urban infill, which is really what they do, is exactly what this neighborhood needs, we believe, and will serve the residents there very, very well. So, council, pending your questions?
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Kling.
Thank you, Madam President. If this type of project is successful, and I think it's a great project, and it's a deserving neighborhood, they've been through a lot, and I like the concept of the administration, the mayor, and his staff coming in, looking inward instead of everything looking outward to the city limits. But if it's successful here, is there any reason that this type of project couldn't be used elsewhere in other parts of the city in the inner areas?
Absolutely. I think that what you will see is this same model copied other places. We have a lot of great neighborhoods. Some of them were the neighborhoods tied to some of the original mill developments. Others were not necessarily part of the mills, but are just great historic neighborhoods that are important parts of the fabric of Huntsville. I mean, and oftentimes a community is defined by its built environment. And so there are a lot of neighborhoods that absolutely would do well with this kind of development coming in, either in it or adjacent to it, and can really serve as a catalyst for revitalization. There's a lot of neighborhoods. I mean, there's some houses that maybe are in a condition where they're best replaced, but there's also a lot of housing stock in those same neighborhoods that are best renovated and continued. And that's exactly, if you go look at the work that Invent has done in communities up in Nashville, you see that happening. You see places where people have chosen to build new houses, but also you see people coming in and making investments in the existing housing stock. And I believe we have quite a few neighborhoods throughout our community. Every corner of our city has neighborhoods that have they have the bones to be rebuilt and be revitalized in that way. You don't need to come in and just bulldoze entire neighborhoods to revitalize them. Clearly, sometimes there's individual properties where that's the appropriate thing to do, but then there's others where just investing in and revitalizing that particular house is the way to go. And the market is very good at making those choices and making those decisions. You see those choices being made in the medical district right now in the Mayfair neighborhood. You saw that happen in Blossomwood, where some houses were replaced and other houses were just revitalized individually. And so I think you'll see the exact same thing in the Low Mill neighborhood. I think that you will see this catalyst serve to spread across Triana Boulevard and continue west and all the way out to Jordan Lane. And those neighborhoods have phenomenal housing stock that are due for reinvestment. And I think we can go all across the city, the central part of the city, east, north, west. You'll find examples of neighborhoods that could be served well by something like this.
I think that'd be a great trend. Do you have a ballpark idea of how much the developer is going to be putting into the project?
I don't. Yeah, and a lot of that will come out in the design charrette. It will certainly depend on, as they look at the demands of the types of uses, that will certainly inform the way in which the construction goes and the number of phases. So I want to be cautious putting a dollar figure on what those construction costs might be, because ultimately, when we talk about the investment, that's largely what we're talking about. That design process will inform that. I can tell you that the volume of space, 50,000 square feet of space, it will be several $1 million to construct the commercial part that we're talking about.
Okay. The timetable for this, when would we actually see dirt start moving on this project?
So two different answers to that question. One, let's start with the single-family residential piece where they will do on lots that they already own. They right now intend to start on the first house in early 2017. Probably within the first quarter, and so then it would be available obviously later in the year, and then our expectation is that they would then follow quickly on the heels of that. Certainly, the demand will drive that, and they will either speed up or slow down to meet the demands of the market, but that would get started in early 2017. For the commercial piece, we first need to go through the rezoning process, which, as you know, it takes several months, and then finish out the design process. So probably the earliest you could reasonably expect them to be able to turn dirt there would be mid to late 2017. And certainly if they're seeing the demand, they would respond to that. If the market's telling them to slow down a little bit, they can slow down a little bit. And in the agreement, we gave them a window of time to be able to accomplish that, because we want the free market to drive this kind of investment. The goal is to not make this a public project, but make one where private investors are driving the market in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Are there any other questions, Mr. Russell?
Madam President, thank you. Mr. Hamilton, you mentioned the clawback, and you said the city could, if the developer didn't do what they said they were going to do, the city could buy it back at the original price. Did you mean the $60,000 price or the $200,000 price? I was confused by what you meant by that.
Yeah, the $60,000.
The $60,000. And does the C6 zoning, we have a lot of problems with Mayfair and Thornton Acres with citizens coming to complain about the big mansions going in their neighborhood and they're losing the character. Will the C6 zoning keep that from happening?
It will. So C6, one is pretty restrictive on the uses that are allowed there. They are purposely set up to be neighborhood friendly. I mean, C6 is designed to be inside of or immediately adjacent to a residential neighborhood. And so as the planning department went through and drafted that, and as the planning commission worked it and brought it for your approval, first on the use side, it's restrictive in terms of hours and the uses and things so that it's not unfriendly to the neighborhood. Secondly, it does have form-based code, and really it's our first, it's really our first zoning district with significant form-based code in it that really requires it to fit within the context of the neighborhood, enforces height restrictions and things like that. Just one or two council meetings ago, y'all did an amendment to that where the planning department had gone in and found some issues with the way in which they defined streets and alleys that didn't fit well within what was it intended to accomplish. And so it has always been done with an eye towards this thing being inside of a residential neighborhood. And so its size, its scope, and the uses are specific to being inside a residential neighborhood.
And I understand this developer has excellent past performance from East Nashville, but how did y'all choose the developer? Was it just on past performance? Was it on price? Was anybody else considered?
No, actually, they brought us an unsolicited proposal. They came to us with the proposal. We did our due diligence in terms of looking at their past performance. The land has been vacant for quite some time. I think, though not formally, informally, just through regular interaction that the administration has with developers and throughout the community, we have not found anybody who has expressed this kind of interest. And so it was not done through a competitive RFP, which we're not obligated to do, though we oftentimes choose to do that. In this case, it was in response to an unsolicited proposal. And we've been working through this for probably about 2 years now. This has not been a quick knee-jerk reaction. There has been a significant amount of vetting to include, when I say we went and looked at their properties, the mayor and myself and Shane Davis and a couple others personally went and toured their properties and other example properties that they use as models for what they want to do. So there has been a significant amount of vetting, but ultimately it was in response to an unsolicited proposal a couple years ago.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? We'll have the opportunity to discuss this further when we come to item 14A and 15L. Both items relate to this matter. Moving on, we have no business with outside legal representation. We do have 10 public hearings to be held. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-781, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Huntsville, Article 92, Board of Adjustment, Section 92.5, Powers and Duties, Subsection 92.5.3, Subsection 40, to add language concerning temporary seasonal outdoor agricultural sales, set October 13th, 2016 at a regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
Ashley Nichols, Planning Division. This zoning ordinance amendment is primarily pertaining to our temporary seasonal outdoor ag sales. Currently, several seasonal ag sales, such as our Christmas tree farms, some of our seasonal ornament vendors, and also our pumpkin patch retailers, they currently have to obtain a variance in order to operate within the city limits. This ordinance would merely add them as a special exception, so they would not have to prove that they have a hardship on their particular property where they choose to vend, as well as it will add particular districts, including our neighborhood business C1, C2, general business C3, and our village business C6 districts. This particular clause will include other provisions that we have within Article 73, as well as this does not conflict with our current farmers market language, which was added in 2014.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the council regarding this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve?
Second?
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Kling. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the ordinance, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-795, amending the zoning ordinance of the City of Huntsville, Article 92, Board of Adjustment, Section 92.5, Powers and Duties, Subsection 92.5.3, permitted uses as special exceptions by amending Subsection 92.5.3, Subsection 22, to update language concerning indoor facilities for BB guns, set October 13th, 2016 at the regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
This ordinance is concerning the zoning districts for our current BB gun indoor facility locations. When this ordinance was created in 1997, it included the commercial recreation C5 light and heavy industry districts, as well as the disposal storage district. It did not include the highway business C4 district, which is one of our most popular and heavily traveled zoning designations. So this zoning ordinance amendment is merely to add highway business C4 as an option for future locations for any indoor facilities for BB guns. It does not change any additional regulations. All of these proposed uses would still be required to go through the police chief and meet other procedures and regulations.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this matter? Ms. Reed.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I guess I'm concerned that we're changing a lot of, every meeting, we change a lot of zoning ordinances. And this permitted uses given by special exception, this is the kind of thing we come into the Zoning and Variance Board to get special exceptions of. So why do we go in here and change all this? Is that for the entire city? When you come up here and change this on tonight like this, does that mean that's all over the city? Are we giving special exceptions?
Ms. Nichols?
Ms. Reed, this is merely to add an additional zoning designation for this particular language. It doesn't change the special exception in any other shape or fashion. The applicant would still be required to go to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and instead of applying for a variance, they would seek a special exception. So they would not be required to submit a hardship letter. They would only have to submit just the particular application for special exceptions only. And this would be a citywide ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Is there anyone else who wishes to address this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Russell. Is there any discussion?
Madam President. Ms. Nichols, what is an example of a BB gun facility?
It would be similar to like your indoor paintball facilities, except it would be with BB guns or some type of airsoft gun. We do also have similar language for paintball guns as well, and that was added in 1997, but we don't expect any changes to that particular ordinance at this time.
So certainly they're not shooting each other, or are they?
Safely, as long as Chief Mack is okay with that. Both ordinances have a provision that they have to go through the police chief, as well as those handguns must be concealed so they can't walk out with them in the open.
Okay, tomorrow morning you send me a locate. I want to see a BB gun facility. So you send me the address. I want to go look at it. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-783, zoning newly annexed property lying north of Little Cove Road and on the west side of Watson Grand Way as Residence 1A District, set October 13th, 2016, at a regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
This is newly annexed property. It's approximately 26.3 acres located north of Little Cove Road and on the west side of Watson Grand. The proposed zoning designation for this property is Residence 1A, which is consistent with the adjacent zoning. This property will be a future residential phase of an existing or developing, subdivision in the future.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Culver. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please indicate. Opposed? The motion carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-785, zoning newly annexed property lying on the east side of Sanderson Road and south of Copper Run Drive as Residence 2 District, set October 13th, 2016, at a regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
This property is newly annexed land. It's approximately 20.35 acres. It's located on the east side of Sanderson Road and south of Copper Run Drive. This property is located in Limestone County. This is a proposed addition to an existing subdivision, which is to the north of this property, and the proposed zoning designation is Residence 2, which is consistent with the product type, which will come forth to the Subdivision and Planning Commission at a later date.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. The chair moves for approval.
I'll second it.
Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. Call for the question. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-787, zoning newly annexed property lying on the north side of Terry Drake Road and east of Old Big Cove Road as Residence 1A District, set October 13th, 2016, at a regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
This property is also newly annexed land. It's approximately 0.43 acres. It's located on the north side of Terry Drake Road and east of the Old Big Cove Road. It is currently a single-family detached dwelling, and the property will be zoned Residence 1A, which is consistent with the adjacent zoning of the property in the Clearwater subdivision, as well as the residential uses across the street.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Motion by the chair, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Number 6, now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16789, zoning newly annexed property lying on the west side of Old Big Cove Road and west of Hampton Ridge Drive as Residence 1A District, set October 13th, 2016, at a regular council meeting. Ms. Nichols.
This is also newly annexed property. It's approximately 1.49 acres. It's currently a single-family detached dwelling. It's located on the west side of Old Big Cove Road and west of Hampton Ridge Drive. The proposed zoning designation for this property is Residence 1, that should be 1B, and 1A, excuse me, and not 1B, which is listed on the screen. That is consistent with the property next door, as well as it's consistent with the Hampton Ridge subdivision on the east side of Old Big Cove Road.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to address this? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Kling. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Now is the time and place for public hearing on ordinance number 16791, zoning newly annexed property lying to the east side of Old Big Cove Road and south of Terry Drake Road as Residence 2 District, set at the October 13th, 2016 regular council meeting.
This property is also newly annexed land. It's approximately 0.63 acres. It's located on the east side of Old Big Cove Road and south of Terry Drake. It's currently a single-family detached home, and the proposed zoning designation for this property is Residence 2, which is consistent with the Sanctuary Cove subdivision to the south.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address this? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on ordinance number 16-797, rezoning property lying in the east side of Pulaski Pike and south of Stringfield Road from Residence 1A District to Residence 2A District, set October 13th, 2016 at a regular council meeting.
This rezoning request is approximately 10 acres. It's located on the east side of Pulaski Pike and south of Stringfield Road. This property is currently zoned Residence 1A, which is consistent with the surrounding zoning. This is the original zoning designation of this property. The most recent rezoning in this particular area occurred in 1978. Which was the Pinehurst apartment complex to the north of this property, which is also zoned Residence 2A. The petitioner has requested to rezone this property from Residence 1A to Residence 2A to place a proposed apartment complex or multi-family dwelling development in the future. This particular zoning designation can also still accommodate single-family detached dwellings, as well as it can accommodate single-family attached.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this matter? Please go to the microphone and state your name and your address, please.
My name is Yolanda Sales, and my address is 2010 Lance Road, Huntsville, Alabama, District 1. Ms. Nichols, I would just like to know the plans for that area, and how close would the development be to Jemison High School?
Ms. Nichols?
The area that you see that's outlined in red, this is the 10 acres that is up for rezoning. Jemison High School is located north of this area, kind of here between the purple and the green areas where I'm circling. As far as any type of development or plan that has been submitted, there's nothing that has been submitted at this time. The property owner has attempted to sell the property over the past several years. They have a proposed proposed real estate contract currently on the property. So the current property owner will not be the developer of this property, but in the event that the potential buyer does develop any type of single-family or multifamily development, they would be required to go through the City of Huntsville's subdivision process. So they would have to come back through subdivision as well as Planning Commission with any plans for their future development.
Okay. One more question, Ms. Nichols, if I may ask, who is the property owner?
The property owner is the Previously, it was the Pulaski Pike Church of God. I think currently they're named Life Church of God. They've gone through some name changes, and they have been the property owners since June 2000.
Okay, thank you so much, Council and Ms. Nichols. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sales. Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the council on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. The chair moves for approval. Is there a
Second?
Who took the second?
Culver.
Motion by the chair, Mr. Culver, the second. Discussion.
Yes. Ms. Nichols, can you give a quick, brief example of, in that process, do we send out a public notice to individuals around the area that this could be changed?
For if there's a single-family development that will develop on this property, there are notifications that will go out to all of the adjacent property owners. For multifamily, I don't think there are any state requirements that you have to send out any type of notifications, and that's state of Alabama law.
Understood. And the property above, now, when did you say the last development of this sort has happened?
The last development would have been Pinehurst. This property was originally zoned Residence 1A as the majority of this area. Most of the area that you will see, most of the zoning within this cluster is the original zoning, so most of these zoning designations have not changed. The property located at the southeast corner of Springfield and Pulaski is the Pinehurst apartment complex. This property was rezoned from 1A to 2A in 1978. I believe it was April 1978. The Pinehurst development did not occur until 1983, and that has been the last zoning change within this area. The Residence 2B that is currently still existing north of this property, that is the original zoning designation, and that property can also accommodate multifamily as well.
In your history, would you say the majority of these contracts are sort of contingent upon them moving from one R1 to R2A?
They are.
Is this the first time that they've applied for this?
It is. This is the first rezoning that we've had in District 1 in quite a while. The previous rezoning request was in 2013.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Ms. Nichols, you've done some great work tonight. Thank you very much. We'll give you a break. The next two public hearings are regarding public transportation. Now is the time and place for a public hearing on a resolution for Mazen Al-Tuba, Hussam Al-Askari, and Basel Tube, Huntsville Taxi, Inc., doing business as Huntsville Taxi Service, set October 27th, 2016, at the regular council meeting. Does anyone from the public wish to address this matter?
Madam President, it may be good to have an explanation first from Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam President. This is an existing taxi company that's currently licensed under our vehicle for hire ordinance. They're not planning any new vehicles or new services. What they're doing is they're adding one additional owner and they're incorporating the business. So it's in order for your consideration after the public comment.
All right, now that you all know what it's about, does anyone from the public wish to comment on this matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Kling, second from Mr. Russell. Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving the motion, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Now is the time and place for public hearing on a resolution for Mazen Al-Tuba, Hussam Al-Askari, and Basel Tuba, Huntsville Taxi, Inc., doing business as AA Taxi Service, set October 27th, 2016, at a regular council meeting. Mr. Brown?
Madam President, same situation as before, an existing company, same three owners. They're adding one additional owner and incorporating the business, no new services, and it's in order as well.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion from Mr. Russell, second from Mr. Kling. Discussion?
Question.
Sir.
I got to ask the obvious question. Is it unusual that they would have the same people own the same company and then have a different company get the same?
This is the only company in Huntsville that are the only owners in Huntsville that have two individual companies. There are other companies that are made up of individual different owners, so it's a little bit different, but they've been in business for maybe 10 years or so in that current state.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
That concludes our public hearings. There are no public hearings to be set. We will move on to communications and reports with communications from the publics. Those individuals who signed the roster will now address the council. You will have 3 minutes, and the city clerk treasurer will be the timekeeper. Please give us your name and address. The first person signed up is Mr. Ralph Timberlake. I don't believe I've seen Mr. Timberlake. Is he here? Well, we may come back to him if he joins us later. Next, Mr. Richard Molaire, who has concerns regarding the municipal golf course. Mr. Molaire, if you'll go to the microphone right there.
Madam President, City Council, citizens of
Oh,
Huntsville.
we need name and address, Mr. Molaire. I'm sorry.
My name is Richard Molaire. I live at 8810 Willow Hills Drive, down in southeast Huntsville.
Welcome.
I've been here for 40 years and really like Huntsville a whole lot. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I know in the past the council has decided to take some decisive and much-needed steps with regard to the Becky Pierce Municipal Golf Course, which is located on South Parkway. I believe that the management contract with Robertson Golf Management has been terminated. It's a good and much-needed step. The working staff of this course has always been exceptional. They've kept a wonderful place going and kept it operational, and everybody who goes there enjoys it a lot. The upper level of management didn't appear to be all that good, and I'm glad that the contract has been terminated. I also believe the city is planning on making some repairs, upgrades, and improvements to the course. This is an excellent idea. It will make an already very good facility even better. It's the manner in which these changes are to be made that I wish to address. There are several paths that could be followed in making these changes to the golf course. They could be made in conjunction with the existing staff, which has been working on the course for many years. It's a hard-working, efficient group of people. They're friendly, they're good, they're efficient. They make sure you get all of your needs taken care of, and they keep the place going very well. They know the course, its features, and its shortcomings, and there are, of course, some shortcomings in something that big and complicated. This staff could either make the changes themselves or work closely with whomever the council decides should make the changes. I don't know the contractual arrangements. I don't know what's been done in that area, but I know that it's a complicated issue. The course could remain open, servicing the public and operational throughout the entire upgrade period. You don't have to shut the whole course down in order to make changes to one section at a time. This would, if you did keep it open, you'd be able to retain this trained staff, and the course would remain available to the public. Portions of the course could be shut off for work, while the remainder of the course could continue to be enjoyed by the citizens of Huntsville. This would be a seamless and effective method for upgrading the course. You'd hardly even notice it if you were going out there to play. Please do not shut the course down completely for an unspecified length of time while plans are made, proposals are considered, contractors selected, and work started. The greens on this course are they're very valuable. They're expensive and they're good. But if you shut the place down, the greens of the course could and probably would be lost, resulting in a very unnecessary and added expensive cost. Not only would Huntsville would be deprived of a golf course, but a valuable and effective core of the caretakers that are working there right now, they'd be lost. They'd have to go.
Mr. Molaire, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay. Do I have an extra few seconds?
Would you extra minute?
Okay, the goal of the council is to improve the golf course, not eradicate it. Closing it down completely to repair it seems to be a classic example of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you for your interest in improving an already delightful feature in Huntsville. I've spent many enjoyable hours at this course, would like to continue to do so. Please make the modifications to the course in an incremental fashion while maintaining the operation of the rest of the course. The whole course can't be changed in one fell swoop anyway. You've got to make changes one portion at a time. Why not make the changes in one area, keep the rest of the course operating? It's a technique used by golf course superintendents all over America. Let's do it this way here.
Thank you, Mr. Molaire, for your very thoughtful comments. Next, we have Geneva O'Neill. Her subject is budget allocation. Ms. O'Neill, please give us your name. Oh, I thought that was Ms. O'Neill. Apparently it's not. Ms. O'Neill, please state your name and address and share your thoughts with us. Just come to the microphone right there. There you go.
Good evening. I'm Geneva O'Neill. I live in Northwest Huntsville on Edgemount.
Can you give us your address, please?
Okay. I'm very concerned about.
Ms. O'Neill, we need your address for the record.
Okay, it's 419 Edgemount Drive.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
This is my second or third time coming to a city council meeting. And I'm sorry, but I've had a lot of surgeries and stuff, and that has been keeping me from coming in. But I would like to address something that's very important to me. I've been living in the same area for 40 years. And I'm very concerned about half of Oakwood has been paved and the other half has not been paved. I think it has been paved all the way to Memorial Parkway, and then the other part is not paved. That's all the way from Memorial Parkway all the way down Oakwood till you get to Jordan Lane. And that's very bad on cars. And the traffic is very heavy in that area. Also, I would like to know if we could get, I guess, a committee up where that we can have a very understanding about what each of us can do in our communities to make it a better place for us to live. And as far as the enforcement go, I wish that everybody would take upon themselves to help the community by picking up whatever items that they can pick up to make it a cleaner place to be. And I want to thank all of you for listening, and all of you have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill. Mr. McNeese, would you like to address Ms. O'Neill's questions regarding paving on Oakwood from Parkway to Jordan Lane?
Yes, ma'am. We are working with Huntsville Utilities. There's some improvements that Huntsville Utilities is scheduling next year with the gas line going down the middle of Oakwood Avenue. And we're coordinating with them to follow behind that improvement. And once they're complete, we will be following up and paving between Pulaski Pike and Oakwood. So that will be resurfaced upon the improvements, the completion of the improvements by Huntsville Utilities.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. McNeese.
Can I ask a quick question to him? Mr. McNeese, could you give one quick, because I know this was another concern, can you give a quick understanding of how you grade these roads? Because we know subjectively people and say this is a bad road. How do you do it objectively, just quickly, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. We have a team of right-of-way inspectors that are they're assigned different quads of the city, and they ride the different routes. They ride the roads, whether it be collector or residential streets, and they look for deficiencies in the roadway, whether it's corrugations, potholes, or longitudinal cracking, and so forth. They have a long list of deficiencies that they look for, and they rate the presence of those deficiencies, whether it's covers a percentage of the surface of the roadway, whether it's 10, 15, 30% or greater than 30%, and that all those percentages, they have a number assigned to them. So whenever they tally up the numbers, that's the number that we have on our database that is a rating of a particular road. Oakwood right now, I don't have the particular rating in mind. I can get that to anyone who would like to have that particular number, that rating for Oakwood. But that's how we compile our numbers for our rating system for each one of the streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to also add, you bring up, thank you, I was speaking to it. We're going to do a better job of sort of getting that information to you on how we are assessing those roads. And also you brought up the trash. We actually have a small group growing. It's small now, but we're trying to grow. We call Street Warriors, a number of individuals who have been going up around Masson Lake, Pulaski, just picking up trash. I wanted to thank you as well, but we'll definitely, and I'll be speaking later on about, we're going to have a town hall meeting on how you can get that understanding of how we're going to do this roadway system and this change in infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. The next person signed up is Howard Bankhead. Subject is the golf course. Mr. Bankhead.
Good afternoon, Howard Bankhead,
Good afternoon.
2101 Keoghdale Drive, Huntsville, Alabama. I encourage the mayor and the city council to approve or to consider the proposal that the new management had for the golf course. My youth program started there in 2002, and it's a good facility for youth to come in to learn how to learn the wonderful game of golf. Having access to the golf facility makes it more reasonable. I mean, the fee is reasonable. Our tax dollars stay here in Huntsville, and the kids get a chance to learn the game of golf in a good environment. I really know the guys that want to keep the golf course going, and I hope you will encourage, we have a good understanding of the proposal and help us keep quality of life going like the mayor wants to have in golf. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Churchill. The next person signed, or I'm sorry, Mr. Bankhead. The next person signed up is Frank Churchill. Subject is the golf course.
Yes, ma'am. Council members, just would like to say a couple things about municipal golf course. I've been playing the course probably since 1967. I left, I joined the military, came back to Huntsville, and I would just like to recommend that if that you keep the course open. Not only that, but to look at just closing 9 holes at a time and let the other 9 holes where we can continue to play golf. So I think that's an option, and I just don't think that, you know, if you're going to close the course, I just think that's the wrong answer. I think you need to look at an alternative, which would be to work on one side of the course, let us play the other 9 holes, and I think that would be a good solution. Thank you very much.
Mr. Churchill, I've been reminded that I need to get your name
I'm
and
sorry.
address for the record.
Frank Churchill, 1004 Brighton Circle, Southeast Huntsville.
Thank you very much. The next person to speak is Adam Smith. The subject is the golf course. I just told that.
Adam Smith, 512 Chateau Drive, Southwest Huntsville, Alabama, 35801. I just want to thank the mayor and the city council for allowing me to speak. I just wanted to talk to you about the golf course a little bit. In my experience, I've been playing or working golf for the past 20 years. I've seen many course renovations done, and I've seen a large majority of them done while staying open. Closing the golf course would mean that you're sending taxpayers away from the city to play golf, and that they're not going to be spending the money here in the city, whether that be playing golf. And a lot of times when golfers are done playing, they like to go out to eat, or they go and have a drink somewhere, and they will do that outside the city. If you allow the golf course to stay open, having the revenue and the constant cash flow coming in helps offset the renovations, because it doesn't put the company that's doing the renovations or the city in a hole starting out. By staying open, it allows them to keep that revenue coming in, and constantly the cash flow comes in and allows them to pay for the renovations as they go, and they're not starting out in a financial hole. Also, allowing the golf course would allow these citizens that play out there every day or every week, it will allow them to see the change that the city is doing and that the company is doing to the golf course to make it better, and will help them feel that they are a part of something bigger and a part of this city and a part of the change. It will help them stay loyal to the golf course. I have a petition here of almost 700 signatures that are asking the city to keep the golf course open during the renovations. I just ask you, please do not close the golf course, because it means a lot to a lot of people here. Just based off of these signatures here, a lot of people have said, we don't want you to close, we want you to stay. And I understand that the contract with Robertson Management Golf, it needed to go, but you have a company that's already in place, already here, that's working, and they want to keep the golf course open and keep the citizens of Huntsville happy. I just have a couple of questions to ask to the city council or whoever can answer them. What are the plans for the golf course? How do you feel about asking the citizens to spend their money outside the city at a different golf course and other establishments during the time the course will be closed? Because the course is said to be closed for an unspecific amount of time. If a company were to give you a proposal and agree to do the renovations, would the city council allow the course to stay open?
Mr. Smith, your 3 minutes are up. Would you like an additional minute?
No, thank you very much. That's all I have. Can anybody answer
Would-
those questions?
We have 2 more people who are going to be making comments on the golf course, and when they've made their comments, I'm going to turn time over to Mr. Hamilton to answer the questions and respond to the comments. If you'd like to bring the petition up here,
I can do that if you
that
want
would be
it.
fine.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say something about how we got into this situation. I think it was a very good move that was made at the last council meeting when it came up to us to sever the relationship with Robinson Golf Management. I was on the council, I guess right now I'm the only one that was on the council back about 15 years ago, or a little over 15 years ago, when there was an RFP process that went out to deal with the management of the golf course. There were 5 or 6 proposals that were submitted to the city, and the city accepted a proposal from Robinson Golf Management that appeared to be the best proposal, and that was accepted. About 6 months after that proposal was accepted and Robinson Golf Management took over the operation of the municipal golf course, he came back to the city council after he had put out this great RFP and said that he was losing money, and he was able to convince the majority of the council at the time to change the terms of the agreement so that he was able to get more money. That was done. And then we've been through all the problems. The capital maintenance that's being talked about, these are things that should have been done by him. I understand, I've heard from several sources, that there was actually alcohol being sold on the golf course when he did not have a bona fide license to sell that by the state. And those are the types of things that are going on. I commend Steve Ivy, from the head of the Recreation Department. I know he's looking at a lot of things that he can do, and the bottom line is trying to see what he can do to provide assistance to the golf players, and especially those senior pass holders. I've heard concerns over the years about you guys would spend big bucks to buy a pass, and then the terms of your pass would be changed midstream. I think there were some days of the week that you were expected to be allowed to play, and you were prohibited from playing because there were some special tournaments or other special events that would come up. And these were the types of things that were going on. The reason we're all in here talking about this and the problems, and I think we got some great people in the Recreation Department that are trying to clean up this problem or do what they can to save it, or, because the bottom line is we want you guys to be able to play golf. But it just burns me up that you guys have been put out, the city has been put out. Good old Mr. Robertson still owes the city some money, which I doubt we'll ever see, and we're not the only ones that he owes money to. But it's not right the way that this whole situation has been done. You folks deserve better, and I think it's a matter we're all trying to group and see what can be done. I know y'all raised the idea about if the golf course can be kept at least partially open. I don't know if that would work out, if that can be done. I'm sure that's one of the options that'll be looked at. But again, you guys have not gotten the deal that y'all should have gotten, and we have not gotten the deal that we originally signed on for and thought we had an agreement with. And then even after those terms were changed to benefit them. And I feel very bad about this, but again, Mr. Ivy, I think, has been very diligent. I know he's looking at lots of these options, including the ones that you've talked about, and seeing what can and cannot done, and everything. And hopefully somehow this thing can be resolved. But again, all of us, we're all on the same sheet of music. We're all on the same side of this, and don't let anybody try to pit one side against another side, because we're all in this together.
Thank you, Mr. Kling. We have 2 more individuals signed up who want to make comments about the golf course, and then we'll turn the time over to Mr. Hamilton for comments to respond as well. David Horvath, again, the subject is golf course. Mr. Horvath.
Name's David Horvath. I live at 205 Rockledge Place, apartment 21 here in Huntsville.
Welcome.
I'm one of those season pass holders, and I've been it for about 3 or 4 years or something else like that. But I've also played on municipal since I started playing back in probably '75 when I came home from the service. And I got to play on municipal when we had enough money because I was a broke guy. But nowadays, it does not matter what happened before right now. Doesn't matter about Robinson management, whatever. It does not matter. What we are wanting right now is to keep the golf course open. I mean, and I don't know how many of y'all play golf. I don't know how many of y'all actually know what's going on with the golf course. The people that do know what's going on with the golf course are telling you it can stay open. Half of it can stay open and be worked on the other half. This is all we're asking. I actually I am actually in charge of a golf league here in Huntsville. And I've got 40 or 50 people that play. And if that course is not open, we're going to go somewhere else. We're going to go out there to Madison. We're going to go up to Colonial Hills, whatever. It's going to, like Adam said, it's going to be outside Huntsville. You don't want to lose that. And a big part of what is going to happen is if you close the golf course all the way completely down, and the government of city is going to take a little while to look at it, to make the proposals and everything else like that. It's not going to be until August or September before you open that course up. By that time, most of the people, me included, is going to be going somewhere else, and you're going to lose all that. And like Adam said, that's a lot of money that Huntsville is going to be losing, and I don't want to lose it. I don't want to leave municipal. I've played there many years. Too many years, as a matter of fact. But the one thing is that it's a good course. You can't help it if the management part of it kind of ran it down. But we've got some very good people that want to bring that thing back up. I know the people that want to bring it back up. I know Adam, the manager out there right now. They are good people. They know what they're talking about. They know what needs to be done. And I just want to reiterate that just keep the course open.
Your time's up,
That's
Mr.
it.
Horvath.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Snyder, subject is the golf course.
My name's Dave Snyder. I live 122 Carrillo Lane in Tony. I've been a PGA golf professional for 37 years. I've been a club pro for most of that time, and I am now teaching golf at Huntsville Municipal. The main emphasis of my teaching is with juniors, with kids. I have voluntarily given an intro to golf class in every elementary school in Huntsville, as well as several private elementary schools, to further kids' interest in the game and get them to play golf. I've been working with the Boys and Girls Club here in Huntsville, giving those kids an opportunity to experience beginning golf lessons and getting them interested in the game. With the current management's blessing out at Muni, I've begun to pursue a possibility of building a golf academy at Municipal, which will be mainly focused on junior players, getting kids to play the game. This past year, I was the coach of a PGA Junior League team based out of Huntsville Municipal. It was our first year of operation, and we won our division. Our kids were champions. in the first year, and I'm very proud of that. I would hate to see a situation where only children who have the availability of private country clubs in this area, where they're the only kids that are getting the benefits of learning to play our wonderful game. I implore you, please, let's find a way to keep this golf course open so that we can keep the kids playing golf and learning to play playing the game. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Mr. Hamilton, could you please address the questions that have been raised regarding what are the plans for the golf course going forward, and is it possible to keep the golf course open while renovations take place?
So first, I think it's important to be clear. I think some members of the public that we've spoken to understand this, but not all. And so the action that the city council voted on, that we brought to you at the last council meeting that you voted on, was not to close the golf course. That is not the action you took. That's not the decision you were asked to make. That's not the decision you made. All you did was terminate the contract of the existing operator. The assessment that we have in place, or had in place as it related to that operator, is the alternative to terminating that contract would have essentially guaranteed that the golf course closed, and the likelihood that you would have had the flexibility to reopen it would have been very slim, because it would likely have been tied up in bankruptcy court given the condition of the finances and the condition of that particular company. So our assessment was the greatest chance we had to get the course under a new operator was to come to an agreement that terminated that contract and get it out from underneath his control, and do so prior to it being tied up in bankruptcy proceedings. And so that's the action that you took. The plans for the golf course is then to get it under a new operator. I've talked to a number of the gentlemen that are here at the last council meeting. Afterwards we spoke. I've recognized some of the faces. Obviously there's some that I did not speak to. And one of the questions was, well, on 1 January, can we play golf there? And if we said we think it can be under a new operator by 1 January, I believe that would be dishonest. Quite honestly, I do not believe that going through the competitive RFP process, which is what right now is our understanding is our legal requirement under state law, to get a new operating contract in place, I do not expect that can be done by 1 January. We are exploring alternatives, and there may be some alternatives to do temporary versus a permanent operations, and so I'm not prepared to be able to answer the question as to the legality of that or the mechanism to do so. We're working that right now, and I'll continue to work that with legal to determine exactly how we might be able to do that. Because I agree, if we just let the course sit there and go fallow, it will cost a lot more for the new operator to get it back up and running. So nobody disagrees with the comments that are made in that regard. In terms of the way in which renovations would be managed, that is something that will be part of that contractual process with the new operator. The expectation will be that they are investing capital dollars into the facility. We will have to negotiate a reasonable timeline to do so. The last contract had capital investment requirements for the operator, which they failed to make. That's why the course is in the condition it's in now. Now, I know we've had a number of citizens here tonight that have talked about they believe it's a high-quality course. I've also had many citizens express to us that they think it's a very low-quality course. Quality is something that becomes a matter of opinion. I've played on courses that I thought were great, and somebody else thought they were terrible, and vice versa. And so we'll always have a certain amount of opinion associated with the quality and nature of a particular golf course. And that's why we need to make sure that contract has objective standards for investment and renovation. And they're absolutely correct. Our expectation would be that when the new operator is making those renovations, they would not do all 18 holes simultaneously. It's very common for some number of holes to be closed or to have temporary greens or those kind of things. So there's certainly ways to manage it. They're absolutely correct. And that would be our expectation of the operators, to do it in a way in which the course can remain open and continue to operate while renovations are ongoing. And so that would be negotiated as part of the contract with that operator. I cannot right now give you a timeline for specifically when that new contract would be in place. We'll do it as quickly as we can. And I would expect within the next week or two to be able to come back to you with a timeline on exactly what our expectations are for being able to execute that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. And I'm sure Mr. Hamilton would be happy to meet with all of you afterwards if you want to stick around for that.
Can I ask
Mr.
a question? Again, I don't know the answer, and I don't know what's feasible, and of course, step one, before we do anything, you gotta tap on the shoulder of the lawyer to see what we can and cannot do, but is there a way that somehow someone on an emergency basis could operate the golf course for, let's say, 6 months or something like that while you do the RFP process? Or is there a way it can be kept open where somebody operates it, or that 9 holes are set aside for renovations, and then when those renovations are done, then the other 9 holes would be done, so that at least 9 holes would be kept open? I mean, I don't know what can be done in the short term.
So, Mr. Kling, those are really kind of two separate issues. In
Yeah.
terms of the manner in which the holes are closed and or opened, and the way in which they physically manage the renovations is one issue. And we would fully expect that the contract for the operator would obligate them to manage in a way where some portion of the course was available all the time while they do renovations. That's very common. Golfers are accustomed to playing on courses that are occasionally going through some sort of renovation, and it may be an entire hole closed, or may only be portions. You'll see portions of a hole of a fairway that may be essentially declared out of bounds because there's sort of renovations going on, the ground's under repair. And so that's very common. And that once we get to that point, that becomes the easy part. A good golf course management company, the good greenskeepers, and the golfers themselves are accustomed to that, and that will become seamless and kind of invisible to the city council and to the administration. That will be resolved right there at the golf course. That's not really the challenge. The challenge is getting in place the contract for that operator who will manage that process, and that's really the hurdle that we have to clear, is getting the new operator in place. Ensuring that from our side we've done the due diligence to ensure that we have an operator who actually has the capital available to make the investments necessary to bring the course up to the standards that our golfers deserve, and then to sustain it at that level. That really became the challenge with our prior operator, is insufficient capital investment to sustain the course. Now, I will tell you, some of the challenges was that the number of rounds played per year has dropped significantly at the course. That is common throughout the United States. Golf has gone through a real peak of popularity and has declined. We see golf courses all across the U.S. that are going out of business for lack of revenue. And as we've looked at the number of rounds played on this course, it has also dropped. That became part of the challenge, is insufficient revenue. So part of the negotiations, part of the discussion is going to have to be what are the appropriate fee structures, what are the ways in which we can give them opportunities to generate the revenues they need in order to stay in business and sustain the golf course the right way. And that's not necessarily just fees associated with actually playing golf. That may be also other associated opportunities for vending and things. You brought up the opportunity to sell alcohol. That obviously can be a profitable component of a golf course. So there's other ancillary businesses that may be appropriate to surround around that to make sure they have the revenues they need. But that becomes all part of that RFP process, the competitive bid process, and then ultimately the negotiations and bringing you a contract that we believe will result in successful operation of the course.
So, Mr. Hamilton, if I'm hearing you here, there are really two issues at hand. One is the renovations and repairs that need to be done on the golf course, which seem to be very expensive and probably costly. And the second one would then be creating a business plan that would make the golf course sustainable.
So I would argue those are the same issue, because the business plan and the sustainable revenue stream would have to fund those capital investments over time. So we have to make sure that there's a business plan in place that will generate the necessary revenues to actually sustain the course.
Thank you. The last person to sign up is Ms. Jackie Reed, and her subject is government issues.
Good evening. Congratulations to the new council person and the new president of the city council. We've had a reorganization since the last meeting. Welcome. I'm still here. I want to thank you for allowing the public to get involved. I got many issues here. Speeders in our city are many. We do not have enough police officers to take care of what we're doing in this city. Mayor, I'm talking to you. Anyway, we have the people driving don't have respect for each other. The traffic is terrible all day long, all day. I don't know what you can do about it. I want to go back to Seminole, that whatever you put up there, I really believe, Mr. Hamilton, that this needs to be done at a work session. I don't see bringing this stuff in here. We don't know how much property you own, how much you got, what you paid for it, what you're doing. And the realtors and the local developers tell me that they don't ever hear or get the light come on. Look at it. Already, I just want the city clerk treasurer to look up at that light.
You have almost 2 minutes.
Anyway, I'm not through. The local realtors and the developers tell me that they're not aware of anything that you all are doing in this city. They're not notified. They don't know what you're doing and not being given a part of this, what you're developing in this city. That is sad, very sad. They came to tell me like your city employees and everybody else drops everything on me. So Seminole Drive, mixed use, I don't know that we need more buildings built when we got the whole city is blighted with empty buildings. Why do you want to keep on building buildings and mixed use in a neighborhood? Maybe you can explain that. And I don't know how much property you bought. You've been buying property for 2 years, I guess, over there. And I see tonight you're fixing to buy some more on North Parkway. Why are you buying all this property? I don't get it. Anyway, I'm about to talk about, I want you to hold AB, I've been talking about that, 15J, K, L, O, and U, and explain those. I'm concerned about the fish down here. My son came home the other night and said, Mom, you're not going to be happy. I work at the top of that bank building over there, and I see painters over there painting murals, fish, on that building where we work, at the bottom level over there. Who came up with this? Why don't you put the art over there at the art museum where it belongs and keep it off of the buildings over here? That's a historical building. It should never have been put there in the first place. Mayor Battle, you wanted chickens in the city, remember? I hadn't forgot that yet. But now we got the fish floating around all over the building over there on the bank building. I don't think it's a place to put, and I think Trent Willis used to be your campaign manager, and Chad Emerson. Are they running this city?
Ms. Reed, your 3 minutes are up. Would you like another minute?
Sure would.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. I just got started.
We'll
Anyway,
give you
I
another
know we
minute to
put
finish.
1.9 million in the Big Spring Park over there, and we're reorganizing it and doing everything. But the contract was for 1.9 million, and I see city employees doing the work. And we didn't give them much of a raise, which is sad. The city employees are doing the work, and somebody's getting paid 1.9 million. I don't like the way y'all operate. And I want to welcome, though, today, Mr. Paul Geddes from the Huntsville Times, AL.com, for coming to our council meeting. That's a plus, and I think that's a good thing, and all these other people that came in here. Keep the golf course open. You can't sell that property. You can't rent that property, and you can't give it away. My understanding is, I've been told, you're going to have to keep that land, so help these golfers any way you can. Thank you. I'll be back.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. That concludes our citizen comments. That brings us to item number 8, Huntsville utility items. We have 5 items to address, and I believe Mr. Gertis from Huntsville Utilities is here to help us through those items. The first is a resolution authorizing the approval of the purchase of an OTDR for testing fiber optic cable. This is PR 102347757.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion from Mr. Culver, second from Mr. Kling. Is there any, Mr. Gertis, would you like to address this, please?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. Just for your information, OTDR stands for a optical time domain reflectometer.
Of course it
and
does.
It's a piece of equipment that tests the integrity of the fiber. This item is for $27,865.38.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 8B is a resolution authorizing the approval of the purchase of 2 fiber mass fusion splicers, PR 102347761.
Motion to approve.
Second by the chair. Motion by Mr. Culver, second by the chair. Is there discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8C is a resolution authorizing the approval of the purchase of 2 fiber mass fusion splicers, PR 102347762.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Culver. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Item 8D is a resolution authorizing the approval to purchase and replace truck number 382 and aerial unit 382.8 with a new truck and aerial unit PR 102-35248. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second by Mr. Russell. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Please
Aye.
indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 8E is a resolution authorizing the approval to purchase professional services to develop a hydraulic water modeling system, PR 102-35942.
Move to approve the purchase.
Second?
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Culver. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
If I,
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Gertis, I understand you also have some information to bring with you tonight.
Yes, Madam President, thank you very much. In the interest of informing the public with plenty of forward notice, we want to let everyone know at this time that we will be holding a public meeting on January the 9th at 5 p.m. in these chambers to begin a discussion about a rate adjustment proposal that we will be coming to council with in January. The course of action should follow that at the next council meeting on the 12th, that resolution will be introduced, and then we are planning to hold a work session with council on January the 19th. So mark your calendars, January the 9th, we will hold a public meeting to present that proposal to the public and receive input. And we want to make sure everybody has plenty of advance notice so they can attend that meeting if they're interested.
Do you have times for those meetings?
That meeting is at 5 p.m. Of course, the work session is at your discretion. I believe those meetings start at 5 p.m. Am I mistaken?
Madam President?
Yes, sir.
Just as an idea, and of course, you call the shots on how you want to do things, Mr. Gertis, but one of the things I like about the council meetings, like Mr. Hamilton gave a very good presentation a few minutes ago about the Low Mill project and everything like that, and that was done at a regular council meeting. It's televised and it reaches, I don't know, I'm sure thousands of people throughout the community. Would you have better outreach in the community if you did your presentation at a council meeting versus a work session where we actually had some more in-depth discussion? Like maybe instead of a work session, maybe something like a half hour at the beginning of a council meeting for you to do a presentation and then questions and answers from the council members.
Certainly.
Televised, it seems like that would reach more people in the public.
Yes, sir. And if that's the council's pleasure, we will certainly do that.
It's just an idea I'm throwing out.
We will be happy to do it during a regular meeting and at the work session, and definitely during the public meeting that we will hold on the 9th. So every opportunity that the public wants to have to come and take a look at it. This proposal was with a lot of council input, and it's pretty different than what we came forward with in April.
Madam President? If I
Yes,
may.
Mr.
Ms.
Keith.
Guys, I don't know if you remember a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Timberlake made a comment about public hearing or public access. I know I'm going to see you guys soon, but I just wanted to know if we had made some progress on just sort of how we answered that question. And
Our Gas and Water Board made the decision to put some of the record of their public meetings on our website. Our Electric Board meets the week after Thanksgiving. We were waiting to see what their decision is. We expect them to make a similar decision, and then we will be posting the highlights of those meetings, which is it's not minutes, but it's all the action items and any of the major discussion that occurred on our website for easy access by the public.
a summary.
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
So to summarize then, Huntsville Utilities will hold a public meeting January 9th, 5 p.m. in these chambers. The council will hold a work session regarding the price increase January 19th at 5 p.m. in these chambers. And then Huntsville Utilities will make another presentation at the council meeting on January 26th.
If I understand our intent correctly, Madam President, what we will do then, based on Mr. Kling's input, is do that presentation on January the 12th. And after receiving all that input from the public at those two opportunities on the 9th and the 12th, then at that work session, perhaps address some of the concerns that are brought up.
Okay. So it will be January 9th, January 12th, and January 19th. So there will be 3 opportunities for the public to hear and ask questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Gertis? Moving on then to number 9, board appointments. We have 2 board appointments to be voted on. The first, 9A1, is a resolution to reappoint Susan J. Phelan to the Huntsville Ice Skating Complex Board of Control, Position 1, for a term to expire November 20th, 2019, nominated November 3rd, 2016, at a regular council meeting.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Russell. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 9A2 is a resolution to appoint David Edwards to the Huntsville Ice Skating Complex Board of Control, Position 5, for a term to expire November 20th, 2019, nominated November 3rd, 2016, at a regular council meeting.
Move to appoint David Edwards to the Huntsville Ice Skating Complex Board.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Hearing no second, the motion fails.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I wish to nominate Jan Davis for position 5 for a term to expire November the 20th, 2018, to the Huntsville Ice Skating Complex Board of Control.
The name Jan Davis has been placed in nomination and will be considered at the next council meeting. Thank you, Councilman Culver. Are there any other nominations that need to be brought this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 10, approval of expenditures. Mr. Kling.
Madam President, I move for payment of vouchers in the amount of $14,822,304.22.
The chair seconds. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a Finance Committee report? Ms. Sargent?
Ms. Sargent, can you give us an update on sales tax revenues? Are you not prepared at this time?
At this point, I don't have current sales tax numbers, but I did want to bring you up to date on where we stand prepping for the year-end audit. Just to make everybody aware, our audit firm, Beeson & Alley, was recently acquired by Ward Everett. This will not have a bearing on our audit going into the next few months. We will remain with that company. It's just a name change, and the intention is to remain with that team while we complete conversion into the new accounting system. Additionally, we have started sending data to the audit team so that they can start converting the old data that they had with the mapper system into the new numbering structure for our funds and our objects so that they're ready to start auditing us in December. They cannot begin the audit because we do an accrual-based accounting process here, which means we have to take the first 60 days after we end a year, which was September 30th, and look at all of those expenses and revenues that book into our system to make sure that none of those need to be accrued back into the prior year, and that will complete on November 30th. So come December 1st, Warren Everett and our finance team will be ready to hit the ground running on the audit, moving us forward to close the year completely.
Any questions for Ms. Sargent? Thank you, Ms. Sargent. That brings us to item number 11, communications from the mayor. Mayor Battle.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to make the following appointments or reappointments. Lamont Redrick to the Housing Authority of the City of Huntsville to fill a vacancy to expire August 14th, 2017. Many of you may know Lamont is Phil Redrick's son. Phil was our member on the Housing Authority Board who unfortunately died several months ago, and Lamont is going to fill out his term until August of 2017, and we appreciate him taking that task on. Kelly Scrimshire to the Planning Commission of the City of Huntsville for a term to expire November 9th, 2020. Jeffrey Rice to the Planning Commission of the City of Huntsville for a term to expire November 9th, 2020. Fred Hudson to the Huntsville Iceplex Board for a 3-year term to expire November 20th, 2019. Tonight you'll find in your unfinished in your items for consideration or action, number 15A is the approval of our department heads for the next 4 years. We have brought forward the same group of department heads that have done a great job for us the last 4 years. These department heads have been the ones who have gotten us a AAA rating in the financial markets, have the same ones who brought in the $2 billion worth of investment into the community in 16 thousand jobs, and they've done a fantastic job. And we have taken the 2 department heads who were interim department heads and moved them to full-time, so that will be under consideration under 15A for council, and I would urge you to go ahead and approve those. Skating in the park opens Friday, November 18th at 5 p.m. behind the Art Museum, so you can skate as you watch us finish our construction. And the construction is coming along great. We were out there today looking it over, and the head walls are being put in place in many places. We're finishing up some pathways. Electric conduit is coming in, and also we're getting our drainage and sprinkler system in place. You're going to find that we're going to have a Class A park. The same thing that we have in Big Spring Park East will be in Big Spring Park West, and I think we'll all be very, very proud of it. As you go to skate, you can sit there and watch us as we continue to finish that project, and it will be finished by April 1st, so that we're ready for Panoply. We'd also this Sunday is the Mayor's Cup tennis tournament. I will be playing. I will probably be carrying Eddie Jakes at Athletic Club of Alabama. He's the pro there. I'll probably have to pull him along to help him out. And we'll be playing Paul Finley and another pro who is the mayor of Madison. It will be a classic match of bad and bad versus good and good, and we'll have a good time with it. So I invite everybody to come out 3:30 to the Athletic Club of Alabama. And, this last week was Veterans Week for us, and we don't have a Veterans Day, we have a Veterans Week. And we were so proud to be able to have the second largest parade in the nation on Veterans Day here in the city of Huntsville. And we were so proud also to have the Heroes Week's activities, where we brought in 26 wounded warriors, gave them a great week, gave them a week to quit thinking about all the problems that they had, and look at look at a great community that showed them support and took care of them. That was a great thing for us. And then finally, this next week is Thanksgiving week. Thursday is Thanksgiving. We are truly blessed when we look at what we have as a community and what we have, and I think each of us can say that we're blessed to be right here. We should be very thankful for what we have, and the family, the friends, the community that we have, the community that works together. There will be 2 community Thanksgiving services, one at St. Luke Church at 4 p.m. on Sunday. I won't make that one because I'll be playing tennis against Paul Finley at that point. But there will also be a second one at Faith Presbyterian at 6 p.m. on Sunday, which is a community Thanksgiving service put on by the IMS. And we invite everyone to come out there, and I will be at that one. So to each of you, I say happy Thanksgiving, and I say that we are very fortunate to be where we are, and we should be very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Now it's time for communications from council members. We will begin with Mr. Russell.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. This past week, we had 2 great basketball games at the Civic Center. It was really interesting to see high school basketball at the VBC. It was a great venue for these teams to play in. It was really exciting to be there. Lee played Spain Park and came up a little bit short, but Lee's got a great team. And Jemison played Sacred Heart, and they won it on a dunk at the end of the game. It was really exciting, and I would encourage you, if you haven't seen Jemison play, to go watch them. They have John Petty, a senior, that's one of the best players in the nation. They have a great team and a great coach, and expect good things out of them. They also have a wonderful new gym at the Jemison High School, and I've heard it's a palace, but I haven't yet to see it, but I can't wait to go.
It's nice.
And I just want to remind everybody that the University of Alabama is also going to play basketball here at the VBC on December 21st. They're going to play Arkansas State, and you can buy your tickets to the VBC box office, and we hope to have a sellout crowd for that game as well. Today, we started Thanksgiving a little early. I was able to tag along with the mayor, and we went to Bob Harrison's Thanksgiving lunch. We appreciated him and his staff serving us. It was a great event and good fellowship, and I wish everybody a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I agree with the mayor. We have a lot to be thankful for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kling.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I enjoyed going out to West Lawn School last week. In fact, Dr. Robinson was there, as well as Mayor Battle. We were there for the West Lawn Middle School Veterans Concert, and they did a great job, and a lot of fun to get out. And I think it's been said, we deal with problems up here. We have challenges, but we sure have a lot of good things that are taking place in our community. And I'm proud that we're in a community that appreciates so much what our military means to our country. And, you know, we kind of take it for granted, but we are very, very fortunate. Next Monday, I'll be holding my monthly town meeting, 6 o'clock at the library. No set agenda, only whatever folks that come want to talk about, complaints, problems, concerns, potholes, good things, bad things. Very, very glad to be there and very glad to talk to what the folks that come want to talk about. Only rule we have is no neckties are allowed. But anyway, that'll be next Monday night, 6 o'clock at the Huntsville Library. And that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you for coming back. You have been quite a jet setter. I think it's worth pointing out the commitment and dedication of Dr. Robinson. She has a daughter, no, a granddaughter, or a daughter who's about to present a granddaughter. And Dr. Robinson was out in California with her daughter, flew back in today. As I understand it, you got up at 4 o'clock Huntsville time to catch a plane to get here, to be here at this meeting. And then tomorrow morning, you're getting back on a plane and going back out to California. So your
At 6
dedication,
a.m.
we have a jet set president, but your dedication is to be admired.
Thank you, Mr. Clay. Mr. Keith.
Thank you, Madam President, and congratulations again. I just wanted to take this time, one, to say thank you to everybody who was here in the departments from floor 1 all the way up to floor 8. I guess you guys know I've been drinking through a fire hose, but uniquely I've only had coffee stirs to get that water. But everybody here is sort of taking me in, from Miss Joy to getting me the right type of stuff on my floor, to general services, taking the time out to help me actually have a unique office, I guess you could say, to Mr. Hamilton, being patient with the issues of me trying to actually understand the schedule. I thought I was going to get this councilman thing down in 2 days. It's probably going to take me 2 years. Also to my colleagues, I mean, just earlier today, Councilman Culver did an introduction for me that was so eloquent that I was moved to tears. And I want to say thank you to everybody who was here, who's been a part of that process. And I ask you to encourage you to continue on, to the department heads that we have here, continue on to feed me information and emails and try and get on my schedule and let me try and get on yours. And I promise to bring donuts and coffee. To everybody who is here from District 1, I want to say thank you. I know I've had so many people reach out and send flowers. I didn't even know I liked flowers until I got them. So thank you. And it's a blessing to see familiar faces. I want to say uniquely to what the young lady was saying earlier, we're going to do something different for my first town hall. We're going to try and have a joint town hall with the city school board rep. We're looking to have that on the second Monday at G's Country Kitchen. So you can come get you some coffee. The mayor's invited, as well as some red velvet cake. And Maurice has been open to having that, and he's excited to having that as well. So I will definitely get that information out through Ms. Scrimshaw, who's also been wonderful as well. But I wanted to say thank you again to everybody in City Hall who's sort of taken me under their wing and has dealt with my questions and my concerns, and I have many more to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Mr. Culver.
Thank you, Madam President. And also thank you and my colleagues for the plaque. I will certainly call General Services and get them to hang this in my office. No, I think I can do this one myself. But thank you all for that, and it means a lot to me. Also, Mr. Keith, thank you, sir, for the comments. This is what this body is all about, so we'll all continue to work together. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Brown and his staff. As you all may know, we had our 7th annual Thanksgiving Feed the Homeless dinner, and anybody who wanted to attend, and Randy Wampler and some of the other folk in the parking division, Mr. Brown, including John, and I think he's a new guy there, and some other folk, and to the drivers. They took time out of their busy schedules to come out on a beautiful Saturday morning. And if you remember, Alabama was playing the football game Saturday morning, so they were listening on their radios. But about 6 or 7 bus drivers came out. We took about 4 or 5 buses, I think, in a van, and we picked up homeless individuals from the Downtown Rescue Mission, the Salvation Army, the First Stop, a couple other places that we picked up individuals. And it's not just a dinner, and this is the point that I always try to stress. We had so many care packages that the community had donated. We actually gave some to other individuals to take and to give them to people they knew who could use some of those personal hygiene items and other little goodies. This was in conjunction with, and I have to give a shout out to Pastor Ananias Green at Macedonia Primitive Baptist Church. They donated coats and blankets and all kinds of things that people need. So that was a very, very good event. And one of the challenge I gave the homeless individuals was to help somebody. And I know that may sound a little strange, but anybody can help anybody. And whatever it is that we have, to pass that kindness on, to pass those acts of kindness on. And we probably had at least, I want to say, about 200 people that day. So I'm hoping that 200 acts of kindness will be passed on. Coming up on December the 5th, 2016, this will be our 8th or 9th town hall meeting for the year. This is the town hall meeting, Ms. Martin, that you and I have been planning for a minute. It will be at 6:30 on December the 5th at Williams Middle School. The interim superintendent, Mr. Tom Drake, afforded us an opportunity to come out and update the community. This town hall meeting is for all of the residents, and we did a GIS search, and we have approximately 3,000 invitations that we're sending out to all of the surrounding neighborhoods on Zert Road, Beta Lane, with an update on what's happening with Zert Road and the Martin Road projects. I want to thank the general public for their patience. This has been ongoing for a minute. I know people think we have stopped working on it, but we haven't. We just ran into a few hiccups, but Al Dott will be out with us, Mayor, and you certainly are welcome to come out, and your staff. I do want to ask the chief to supply us with some police officers, as always, because people will have concerns about law enforcement as well. So we're looking forward to that. And again, December the 5th, 2016 at 6:30, Williams Middle School. And before I conclude, I want to wish everybody a safe and happy Thanksgiving holiday season. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. As Councilman Kling mentioned, I have been spending some time in Southern California, and whenever I come back, I am so grateful for our 18-minute commute, our wonderful quality of life, and our low cost of living. We have much to celebrate in this city. During one of the Veterans Day celebrations, I was sitting at a table with some people from Washington, D.C., and they commented that Huntsville was the most patriotic city they have ever lived in. And I thought that that was probably very, very true, particularly as we rode in that Veterans Day parade. It was wonderful to participate in the breakfast and the dinners and then the parade to celebrate the wounded warriors, the Purple Heart recipients. At one of the dinners, we honored Mike Rose, who is very active in the Chaffee neighborhood, and I had no idea that his name is in for the Medal of Honor. I knew he did great things in the neighborhood, in the community, but he has done great things in his service to our country. But I think the most surprising thing was in a celebration of the Vietnam War, we saw a presentation of a family who had escaped Vietnam and found out that one of them was our own Kathy Martin, who is our Director of Engineering, and that was just such a wonderful surprise to see her and her family honored at that celebration. We have great things going on in this city. I also want to thank my fellow council members for their patience and grace with me this night in my first meeting here. This job is a whole lot harder than it looks. And I hope they will continue to extend that grace as we move on later to items considered for unanimous consent. That's a little tricky. But first we're going to move to item 13, unfinished business items for action. Ordinance number 16-856, annexing 1.26 acres of land lying on the east side of Old Big Cove Road and on the north side of Kennedy Lane, was introduced at the November 3rd, 2016 regular council meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Kling. Miss Nichols.
So cool.
This property is approximately 1.26 acres. It's located on the east side of Old Big Cove Road and on the north side of Kennedy Lane. It's currently a single-family detached dwelling. The property owners have requested annexation so that they can have access to city schools as well as other city services.
Is there any discussion, any questions? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we come to new items. Item 14, new items for introduction. Please, as a reminder, 14A and 14B have both been presented as consideration for immediate approval, and it will take the unanimous consent of the council. We will begin with item 14A, an introduction of an ordinance declaring certain properties located on Seminole Drive and Boardman Street as surplus and no longer needed for municipal purpose.
I move for unanimous consent.
Second.
There has been unanimous, a motion has been made by Mr. Kling with a second by Mr. Culver for unanimous consent. We will have a roll call vote. Mr. Keith, how do you vote?
Yay.
Aye.
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 Mr. Keith, was your vote?
Aye. Yes,
Aye,
ma'am.
very good. The chair votes aye. The vote has been unanimous to consider this item for immediate action tonight. Again, the item is to introduce an ordinance declaring certain properties located on Seminole Drive and Boardman Street as surplus and no longer needed for municipal purpose. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Culver. Is there any discussion? Mr. Hamilton, this regards the matter that you introduced to us this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, Madam President, it does. And just to reiterate, this particular action at 14A solely declares their property surplus and no longer needed for municipal purposes. You will then consider in paragraph 15, when it comes to the appropriate point in that in the agenda, consider the actual sale and development agreement.
So these two items are linked.
They are.
Madam President, I'll just
Yes,
let my colleagues know and the administration know that I normally have voted against all this. I voted against acquiring these properties, but I actually think it's a good idea to sell them, so I'm going to vote for it. But in general, I've hated this project for many, many years and the philosophy behind it. But I think we're ending that philosophy, so I'm going to vote for it.
Very good. Any other comments or discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, we have the same thing with item 14B. This item is also being introduced for immediate consideration tonight and will require unanimous consent. It is an introduction of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Huntsville by creating Chapter 8 businesses, Article 5, going out of business or distressed merchandise sale. Is there a motion for unanimous consent to consider this item immediately?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kling, second by Mr. Russell. Is there any discussion regarding unanimous consent? We will call for a roll call vote. Mr. Keith?
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye. The consent is unanimous, so the item will now be considered for approval tonight. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second by the chair. Motion by Mr. Culver, second by the chair. Is there any discussion?
May we have an explanation, please?
Yes. First of all, council members, thank you for considering this item tonight under unanimous consent. There's currently a state law that's statewide regarding distressed or liquidation sales in certain times of the year through November 16th through December 31st, unless there is a local ordinance in place, and if there is such that the state law does not apply. We currently do not have that type of ordinance in Huntsville. We're upon the holiday season. We've had some area businesses that are trying to prepare for 2017. Some of them are small businesses that just will not make it, and they're trying to liquidate merchandise. The best time to do that for especially a small business. My family raised me on a small business, so I certainly understand the pressure there. Is during the holiday season. That's when all retailers make the most sales. So we're trying to help out our small business or any business in Huntsville with this ordinance and trying to put it in place through the holiday season. I appreciate the legal staff and researching it and conferring with the state and make sure that it is a compliance with the state law.
And
So we're really just trying to help our own local businesses to be able to manage their company.
And the urgency for consideration is that we are coming up upon that period when this would not be possible. So this would make it possible for us.
Exactly. And I thank you for that.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 14C is the introduction of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Huntsville, Article 3, City Council, Section 267, Subsection A, Subsection 1, City Council Committee election to separate the City Council vote on representatives to serve on the Planning Commission and Metropolitan Planning Organization. Chair moves for approval.
Madam President,
I'm sorry,
it's for
introduction. I was on a roll there. This
Madam President,
has been introduced and it will be considered at the December 1st meeting.
Madam President, just for discussion or explanation, since this is the time of the year that we would be doing the selections, I was looking at the bylaws, and I think there is some sense to separate those. The council representative who serves on the Planning Commission will basically be dealing with 24 meetings a year, the regular commission and then the subcommittee for each month. In addition, the MPO has a minimum of at least 4 meetings, so basically that person would be dealing with 28 meetings per year in addition to their responsibilities at the council. And I just thought it might be worth looking at to separate those, although there could still be the option that the same person could serve on both boards if for whatever reason a person wanted to do that. But it just gives some flexibility and kind of break up the burden of the load.
Having performed both those duties for the past 2 years, I can tell you it is a real good thing to split those up. So thank you very much for introducing that.
Want to try for 3 in a row?
No, thank you. Item 15 is new business items for consideration or action. The chair wishes to hold J, K, L, O, T, U, and double E. Does anyone else wish to hold items?
I'd like to have Z held, please.
Are there any other items anyone wishes to hold?
I think you said U, did you not?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other items? Item 15A is a resolution to appoint department heads to department positions to serve with the mayor's term of office. B is a resolution authorizing the approval of travel expenses. C is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of donations. D is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 16659 by changing the appropriated funding in various departments and funds. E is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 16659 by changing the authorized personnel strength in various departments and funds. F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into agreements with the low bidders meeting specifications as outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance. G is a resolution authorizing the mayor to terminate the contract with Moonlight BPO due to noncompliance with terms of the contract. H is a request to advertise the position of payroll retirement benefit specialist grade 14 and to fill at higher than minimum if necessary. I is a request to advertise the position of accountant 2 grade 14 and to fill at higher than minimum if necessary. M is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the claim of Mary Brown Thomason. N is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the workers' compensation claim of Brett Martin. P is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke National Bank of Commerce letter of credit number 401009600 for Oakwood Estates at Lake Forest subdivision. Q is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke National Bank of Commerce letter of credit number 401009000 for Oakwood Estates at Lake Forest subdivision. R is a resolution authorizing the clerk treasurer to invoke Progress Bank letter of credit number 9000000 028270 for Midtown on the Park Phase 4 subdivision. S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and NEC Corporation America. V is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 to the contract between the City of Huntsville and Dunlop Contracting for construction services for the Dr. Richard Shower Center interior renovations. W is a resolution to authorize and approve the Alabama Department of Public Health and the City of Huntsville to accept $10,000 for the 2016 Strategic National Stockpile Grant on behalf of the Huntsville-Madison County Emergency Management Agency. X is a resolution to authorize and approve the Cooperative Agreement State Homeland Security Grant Program Assistance Allocation Letter of Agreement to accept the 2016 ICL grant from the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency for $11,000 for the Regional Communications Vehicle. Y is a resolution to authorize and approve the Cooperative Agreement State Homeland Security Grant Program Assistance Allocation Letter of Agreement to accept the 2016 FIL grant from the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency for Regional Mutual Aid Teams. Double A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modifications number 12 to the Supplemental Development Agency TIF 5 Series 2012B between the City of Huntsville and LW Redstone Company, LLC. Double B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and LBYD Inc. for engineering design services for Redstone Gateway Boulevard Extension and Rideout Road Signalized Intersection, project number 71-17-SP04. Double C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modification number 1 to the agreement between the City of Huntsville and Little John Engineering Association, Inc. for land surveying services for Greenbrier Boulevard Extension, Phase 4, project number 71-16-RD07. Double D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Pierce Manufacturing, Inc. for the construction of 7 Enforcer fire apparatus pumpers. Double F is a request for authorization to advertise and fill the position of GIS Specialist Grade 17 at a higher rate than minimum if necessary.
Madam Chairman, I move for consolidation approval of 15A through 15I, 15M, 15N, 15P through S, 15V through Y, 15AA through 15DD, and 15FF.
Bless you, Mr. Russell. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Kling. All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We will now address J. I can find it. 15J is a resolution authorizing the Urban Development Department to draft a complete streets policy for the City of Huntsville. Is there
Move to approve.
second by the chair? Mr. Madsen.
Hey, good evening. This is really kind of a formality as part of an agreement. Many of you may remember that we had a Smart Growth America-sponsored Complete Streets workshop earlier this year. What that is intended to do is then inform the development of what's known as a Complete Streets Ordinance, really a way that you look at developing streets that consider all modes, bicycle, pedestrians, cars, transit, etc. This is a move that they basically mandate in order to suggest us that we're advancing the next step, or that we're proceeding down the path that we had agreed to as part of the grant agreement. It does not represent an ordinance in and of itself, simply that you are authorizing us to go ahead and craft an ordinance, which we will then also come back to you for your approval once we get it crafted.
Good. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 15K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for a transportation alternative project between the state of Alabama and the city of Huntsville regarding EUL Greenway Parking Facility, project number TAPHV TA16948.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Culver. Ms. Martin.
Yes, ma'am. This is an agreement to be executed between the mayor and the state regarding some additional TAP funds for us to construct a parking area adjacent to the EUL Greenway. So this is in the amount of $323,201.75 in TAP grant funds, and the match would be 80 federal funds and a 20% city funds.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution 15L, authorizing the mayor to enter into development purchase agreement between the City of Huntsville and Invent Huntsville LLC. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Mr. Davis. Oh, John.
No.
Thank you.
Members of council, this is the agreement that was described previously in the slideshow. The intent is to sell excess property, but do so in a way that requires development that is friendly and an improvement to that neighborhood. And as such, this would put us into partnership with that developer to ensure that we begin to revitalize that neighborhood.
Any questions, comments, thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. 15O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a real estate purchase agreement between the City of Huntsville and Colin Thomas Power LLC for property located at 2404 North Memorial Parkway. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Culver. Mr. Davis.
Good evening, council members. As most of you are aware, we've spent the last couple of years trying to kind of gentrify and clean up this area of the parkway. It's some mostly uneconomic remnants left from parkway construction from many years ago. The original construction plans for the parkway in this area of Memorial Parkway in Lantana, the original intent was to acquire all of this property during the transportation project. At that time, there were some foundational businesses near and dear to not only North Huntsville but to the community. So we fought to keep those open with Federal Highway and AlDOT, and were successful doing that. Since that time, most all the properties are vacant. The boxes that you see on the screen are properties we have previously acquired through this process. The one you'll be voting on tonight is the one in yellow, and the red kind of boxed in area is parcels still to be acquired. So if you approve this tonight, we're about 70% complete. Our planning department has looked at various ways once this occurs. We are not forcing anyone out of their space, but as the space becomes vacant, we are working with that property owner to try to acquire that. The depth of the property just tremendously hinders any redevelopment from a parking standpoint, and to have any meaningful square footage to operate. Just to the north of that, I have boxed in an area that we think is a great opportunity site at the Parkway of Max Luther. I've shown that to several retail tenants over the years. The one negative of getting that property redeveloped is this part we're trying to clean up. It has also hampered the view corridor and the ability for the Builder Square site to get redeveloped. We are paying appraised value. It's a little over a half an acre of land. It's about 7,000 square feet of retail space or commercial space, and that amount is $102,000. It is in line cost per square foot of what we have acquired other properties here. I'll answer any questions someone may have.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Any discussion?
Yes, 2 points. So, how close have we had conversations with the red box? I think that's the soup kitchen and.
We have.
Okay.
There are 3 tenants remaining. The soup kitchen, I believe there's a used bookstore and a tattoo parlor.
Yes, sir.
That property owner, we have had negotiations, but we have said we are not going to evict anyone. That we don't think that's the city's role. So he is working on a relocation plan for those, and once he does that, we will further our conversations.
Absolutely.
And that's the way we've handled the other pieces.
And there's no potential plan at this point for once we do acquire all of them, what would go there? We just believe acquiring them would help us sell the development at the corner.
So our initial plan, it's a very good question, Councilman Keith. Our initial will be to demo the structures.
Okay.
Remove the asphalt, plant some grass, and do a landscape buffer between that commercial property and the residential that you see behind there. And then we'll start to market the property along with the opportunity side on the corner. We think that, piecing some of this together, being able to not have to have the parking along the service roads where you may have a building to the north and park it to the south or vice versa. By assembling these, there is market potential, but in the way that they are currently parceled out, it just is not available.
And let's just clarify, we're using this to incentivize development at the corner where it says the redevelopment opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any further questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I've been informed that we need to take a 5-minute technical break. Any opposed to that? We'll break for 5 minutes. Return at 8:09. We will resume items under 15, new business items for consideration, with item 15T, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Taser International, Inc.
I move to approve the agreement.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Culver. Mr. Hamilton, who would you like to have?
Well, as Chief McMurray makes his way, members of council, this is an agreement that allows us to not only purchase the quantities of tasers we need, but also includes maintenance of those systems. And Chief can give you more detail specifically on how that program will run. I do want to emphasize that Chief came in and pretty quickly in his time set up a pilot program to begin implementing the fielding of tasers. The program has been very, very successful. I think the manner in which he implemented the training that they have invested in that is a big part of why it has been successful, and we believe it's now ready to take it to the next level. But I want to give Chief the opportunity to give you a little bit more detail specifically on this agreement.
Thank you, Councilman, and thank you, Mr. Hamilton. The tasers, as mentioned, we did start off small. We now have 79 on the street. Already we have 3 documented saves of citizens, and who knows how many officers' injuries or lives we've saved as well. Out of this, tasers are not new. In fact, it's over 10 years. There's 7,200 agencies now using tasers worldwide. They're a muscle incapacitator. So it allows you 5 seconds to put the handcuffs on somebody who's violently fighting you. And as you know, and as I've said before, 80% of everyone we put in jail is either drug addicted, alcohol addicted, or mentally ill. And mental illness is our #1 issue. This allows us to incapacitate somebody, handcuff them, and get them the treatment they need without causing harm. In fact, I can testify because I did take a shot of it. I'm not doing it again for you, but I did take 1 shot. It's 5 seconds you'll never forget. And it allows the officers a safe amount of time to put the handcuffs on somebody and get them to the treatment, which is what we want. We want treatment. So thank you so much for this experiment. We have had them now for several months, these 79 units. This purchase will equip every first responder with a taser to apply on the street. That's lieutenants, sergeants, all the officers working the street, with the exception of our school officers. We're going to hold off on that at this time.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions?
Yes,
Mr.
Madam
Russell.
President. Have all the officers received training?
They are finishing it now, yes, sir. They have not. They've completed the first step is academic work. The second step is the fun part. That's the 5-second lightning ride, and that comes when we get the new equipment in at the purchase of this, which I'm applying for here.
And what was the logic for not having the school resource officers carry tasers? It seems like that would be a good idea.
The immediate need is not there right now. The levels of resistance we use in the schools are it goes up to pepper spray, and that has, while it is very inconvenient, it seems to be appropriate. We do have body-worn cameras on the officers in the schools, and that has caused an immediate effect on the students as well. And when they realize they're being filmed, smile, you're on candid camera, they're actually behaving a lot better as well.
Thank you.
Because what they tell mommy and daddy is not always what they're telling the principals and things. So.
Understand.
Any other questions for the Chief or discussion? All in favor, please indicate.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 15U is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order #2 to the contract between the City of Huntsville and Pierce Construction Company, Inc. for construction services for the Huntsville Aquatic Center addition located at 2213 Drake Avenue, Huntsville, Alabama, 35805. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second by Mr. Culver. Is there, Mr. Easter? No, I'm sorry, Chris.
Mr. O'Neill.
The other one.
Council members, this is change order #2 with Pierce Construction. It's in the amount of $41,952. This change order, like change order #1, is being paid out of the project's contingency fund. So there is no additional dollars being added to this project budget. This is all within our project budget. The vast majority of change order #2 consists of some additional starting blocks and block covers and some backstroke starting equipment for the new competition pool. And in addition, we had some other owner upgrades, lighting in the existing lobby, and We had some technical coordination issues and some minor unforeseen conditions. Overall, the project is under budget and overall on schedule, and it's getting very exciting out there. They walked the job yesterday. So we got men everywhere, spray painting and running ductwork and hydronic piping and laying tile. So it's coming along very nicely.
It'll be exciting to see that project completed. Discussion.
What is the estimated completion date?
Overall, the estimated completion date is June of 2017, June 1st, 2017.
Just in time for swim season.
Yes.
Madam President, if I could, I want to just take opportunity, one, to commend Mr. O'Neill and his staff. The projects office manages a number of construction projects on behalf of the city and on behalf of our taxpayers. This is by far the largest they've done in quite a number of years, and one of the most complex that you can imagine. And he's not joking when he says it is under budget. It is on time. And the investment that the community's making there, in addition to doing a much better job of serving our citizens in terms of their day-to-day needs for the center, the city's already been awarded 2 large swim meets, one a regional meet, the other a national level meet within, shortly after the facility opens. We would not have been in contention, we would not have had opportunity to bid on those without this kind of investment, and it will pay dividends. Thank you.
Very good. Any other?
Mr. O'Neill, since you were a former outstanding swimmer at Texas A&M, are you going to challenge the mayor for the opening swim?
Yes, sir. We're already working on that.
Mayor's challenge, like a tennis match?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
There
great.
you go. Swimmer to the goal.
I think that we'll have council members do that for the mayor. They can swim links and do a tag team.
I'll take Mr. O'Neill as my partner.
I'd be willing to challenge the mayor to a golf match if we could just agree that high score, not low score, wins.
And I think we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very
thank you.
much. 15Z is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for assignment of contract by and among the City of Huntsville, Alabama National Bus Sales and Leasing, Inc. and Creative Bus Sales, Inc. Chair-
Move for approval.
Chair seconds. Mr. Brown.
Several months ago, we issued an RFP and bid documents for 2 low-floor transit buses. That bid was won by National Bus Sales and awarded to them. They've since been purchased by Creative Bus Sales. So this will allow us to assign not only the responsibilities of the bid and specifications to them, it will also allow us to pay them since they've now hold the bid. It won't affect the price or the type vehicles that we'll be receiving.
Any questions for Mr. Brown or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And finally, 15EE is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Innobar LLC, doing business as Nova Solutions for an agenda management system. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion, or Mr. Hamilton, would you like to, or Mr. Benyon?
This is the new agenda software program. As you know, we've been using a manual system over the past, or forever, in creating our agenda, and this will greatly simplify the process of creating an agenda and also putting the information out on the internet for the public to view. So it greatly simplifies the system. It also has a board tracking system, so for all of the appointments that we do to boards, we'll be able to track when the appointments start and when they end. So we're looking forward to the system. We've been testing it, and we've had several departments to train on it. And so far, we're getting very positive feedback on it.
If I might just mention, with the school board used it, a similar system, and it saved hours and hours and hours of staff time, not to mention a number of trees. So it's, and for no other reason, using it for the board appointments, which is still a mystifying, magical process to me. That would be wonderful for that alone. Comments, questions, discussion?
But it's the way we've been doing it since 1805.
There you go. And change is hard. Any other discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have no legal department transactions, vacation of easements, vacation of right-of-ways, deeds for acceptance, routine bond satisfaction, liquor bond, mortgages. We will move now to item 17, non-roster communications from the public. Anyone wishing to address the council? Ms. Reed, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it quick. I really wanted to ask you if you all knew about the mural ordinance in the city of Huntsville. It says a picture painted directly on an exterior wall of a building which is intended to enhance the elements of the building, which is not designed or intended. Did any of you know you have an ordinance on murals on buildings? You didn't? I guess you didn't. But we have one, and I have it right here in my hands. I had a real problem with that fish. You should take it to the art. Take it to the park and the art. That's a historical building. That's ridiculous.
Where is she talking about?
Go paint a big fish up and down the street. I understand the people that painted this is from the city. They got Montgomery or whoever, Chad Emerson or whoever, and they painted up half the city. So you bring these people in here, and Chad Emerson and them are Downtown Inc., and we give them $90,000 a year. I don't know for what. It's a private organization. I can't even go to the meetings. Why are we paying these people to tell us what to do in this city? Yeah, I really have a problem with it. Anyway, I just want to wish everybody a blessed, and you all too, and a happy Thanksgiving, and be sure to give thanks. I have one big question. We need an easement ordinance in the city. Who in the city takes care of your neighbors taking your easements away from you? Who would know anything about easement? This is not the first time I've tried to find out if anybody knows. There's a 15-foot easement between two houses, and whoever grabs the property first gets it. Is that true? That's the way I understand it, and that's what happened to my son and daughter's property. They grab it, and they put a fence on it or put bushes on it, and the 15-foot utility easement belongs to whoever grabs it first. Somebody somewhere needs to come up with an ordinance and fine these people if they don't come down here and ask for that easement. Maybe that's over your head. I don't know. It says we're a smart city right here on this fish thing downtown. We're a smart city. We need to start acting like it. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. We are thankful for you as well. I believe there were two questions that were asked. One was regarding the fish mural, and the other one was regarding the easement ordinance. Mr. McGuffey.
The mural, the drawing of the fish does meet the zoning ordinance regulations. Article 72 meets the definition. The building was built in the 60s and the 70s. It's not in a historic district. It's not a historic building. So the mural definition is met.
Madam President, we need to have one conversation. Needs to be on the microphone.
The next question was regarding easements. Thank you, Mr. McGuffey.
Shane Davis, Director of Urban Development. We do have a policy regarding easements or any easement or right-of-way vacation. There's a form, starts routing at Huntsville Utilities, and then it goes, once Huntsville Utilities, if you're trying to vacate right-of-way or easements, once they certify that they don't have any utilities or need for that, it goes to Kathy Martin, city engineer. She reviews it also, and then on to legal if it can be vacated. I think the issue that Ms. Reed brought up, there's some confusion. The city does not own the property in an easement. It's still private owned property. It just allows us to use the underground portion for cable, water, sewer, gas, electric. So any dispute, there is a 15-foot easement, side yard easement between both houses, any two residential lots, 7.5 feet on one side, 7.5 feet on the other. That property line there is still in the center line of the easement, and both property owners own that 7.5 feet. If someone has encroached across their property line, that's a civil matter and not something that the city of Huntsville would partake in.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Next person to speak. Please give your name and address for the record.
Peter Proctor. I live at 4101 Kenwood Drive. I want to thank the Madam President and the City Council for giving us the opportunity to have item 17 for non-roster communications from the public. I got here a little late, so I couldn't get on the agenda. But I'm kind of glad because it's a small crowd, and what I'd like to share is kind of sensitive anyway. But I'm here. I'm Peter Proctor. I'm Paul Proctor's brother. Paul passed on 9/11 early morning on 9/11/2016. I want to thank the city for giving him a resolution. When Dr. Shower was on, he did attend the funeral. But Paul was a great person. He was a father. He had a son that he was committed to, and I'm his brother, and Paul well liked in the community. Unfortunately, the morning that Paul called for help, I had a hard time wrapping my mind around the protocol and the procedures of what happened when I made a 911 call. And so that's why I'm standing here today, to be able to ask the city council, the powers that be, would they revisit and go and get the authentic 911 call. I do have a summary of what was interpreted to be said. But in order for me to have closure, I need to know what happened. And right now I won't get into it because I don't want this to be a public fiesta. But I think it's something that the city council and the leadership of Huntsville need to get an audience with me where I can get an understanding of what has happened and to interpret some of the information that I've already gotten. I did have an attorney to do a little work to try to get the original 911 tapes, but I do have the protocol to be able to get it. But I just want to come here because I love my city, I love my community, and we just need to look at this and make sure, if nothing else happened, that another family wouldn't have to endure what I went through. I won't get into the night, but I think that you will find it appalling of what actually happened. Thank you for your time, and I hope I get a chance to share with someone who can make a difference in the services that are being provided that we are depending on when it comes to our medical emergency providers. This is serious, and it may not just be happening here in Huntsville. It could be all over the country. I don't know. But this is Paul's homegoing may be the will of God, but we still call in the earth to do what we can do to preserve a life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Proctor. Mr. Hamilton, would you like
Yes,
to respond?
if it pleases the council, what I'd like if we could have Chief McMurray and Mr. Webster from HIMSI, as well as Mr. Riley, our city attorney, meet with Mr. Proctor privately, just to make sure they've captured the details and can do that in a private manner, and then would ask that Mr. Riley come back and provide feedback to council on what the appropriate steps are. It may or may not require any action by council, but I want to make sure they understand fully what the needs are, and then we can take action to resolve the issue.
Mr. Proctor, if you will meet with Mr. Hamilton after the meeting, perhaps we can work out a time for you to set that up.
Excuse me, Madam President, for a second as well. I want to say, as we talked before, Mr. Proctor, you have my full commitment on this involvement, understanding the situation. I knew your brother. I know you personally. And I would like to be involved in that conversation as well with both chiefs. And but in understanding, like you said, this could be an example for what not to happen. And finally, if we get the full facts of what happened, it could be an example so that it doesn't happen again. But thank you again for coming down to City Council and saying that. And I look forward to trying to understand your situation so that this doesn't happen again.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council? Ms. McMullen.
Hey,
Please give
Michelle
your-
McMullen, 2808 7th Avenue. Good evening. I would like to just thank the council for your support of tonight's agenda items pertaining to Low Mill Village. This is a good day for us all. And I know you will understand me when I say that this has been a long, long time coming. Thank you for working with us in the past to rezone and protect the neighborhood. It has taken a lot of hard work to position Low Mill Village to attract a developer of the caliber of Invent Huntsville, excuse me. And we're all thrilled that Invent discovered Low Mill Village and saw the potential that has been there all along. We're looking forward to the groundbreaking. On behalf of Low Mill Village and the West Huntsville Civic Association, I thank you and good night.
Thank you, Ms. McMullen. Is there anyone else who wishes to address the council?
Move to adjourn?
We have a few other items. You don't get out of it that easily.
Wishful thinking.
Item number 18 is, but good try. Item 18 is City Council Committee appointments. We have two appointments, or two two elections that will take place, and then 5 appointments by the chair. Item 18A is a member of the council who shall be elected to the council by the council to serve as its representative to the Research Park Board. The chair nominates Will Culver. Are there any other nominations?
Move that nominations be closed.
Nominations are closed. All in favor of Mr. Culver serving as the appointee to the Research Park Board, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Culver, you are our appointee to the Research Park Board.
Thank you, Madam President.
Item 18B is a member of the council shall be elected by the council to serve as its representative to the Historic Preservation Commission. The chair nominates Mark Russell. Are there any other nominations?
Move that nominations be closed.
Nominations are closed. All in favor of Mark Russell serving as the council's representative to the Historic Preservation Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Russell, you are the appointee to the Historic Preservation Commission. We wish you joy in your service. The council president shall make appointments and assignments of council members to represent the president and council on the following boards, committees, and commission. The chair appoints Mark Russell to serve on the Top of Alabama Regional Council of Governments, TARCOG, representative, and the chair will also serve as a representative to TARCOG. Number 2, the chair appoints Will Culver to serve as the representative to the Community Action Agency of Huntsville, Madison, and Limestone Counties, Inc. The chair will serve as the appointment to the Advisory Commission on Accessibility. Number 4, the chair appoints Bill Kling and Devin Keith to serve on the City of Huntsville Insurance Committee. And number 5, the chair appoints Bill Kling as chair of the Finance Committee and Devin Keith as vice chair of the Finance Committee. In addition, as a result of the proposed change to the ordinance, the appointment ordinance introduced tonight in item 14C, which will be voted on at the December 1st meeting, we will delay the appointments to the Planning Commission and the Metropolitan Planning Organization until that meeting. Is there any further business to come before the council? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you all.